Oh, by the way, Madeline, just to let you know before we even start, je suis ici seulement pour le rhythm. I just want to get that out.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Now, I'm sure that was grammatically horrible, and all of my childhood friends from Montreal are going to kill me for that, but...
Oh my God, that is so fun.
Singer, songwriter, artist, author, and fellow cat lover? Question mark?
I love cats. Oh my God, yeah.
Perfect. Then we can move on. Madeline, welcome to America's Dance 30.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It is so great finally meeting you and having you on AD30 for the first time. Now, before we even get into everything, I'm a little confused, and so I don't like to chat with artists when I'm confused, so let's clear something up really quick.
Okay, let's do it.
So when I was doing prep, who just liked that? That was weird. Did you just see that pop up? Somebody liked our chat already. I love it.
Even be in it.
There's nobody else in here.
Okay, what's crazy is I think I have ghosts in my apartments, and so that could be a thing.
Well, I think they just liked our chat, which is great.
No, they're supportive.
So I'm a little confused. When I was doing research, I read one blog that said that you grew up in Connecticut, but then another blog that said you were Montreal-based, and then I know you've got some songs that are all in French, and I'm Only Here for the Beat has French at the end of it, but now you're in Brooklyn. Yeah. What's the story? Are you French-Canadian or no?
Okay, my mom was born in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and I grew up in Connecticut, and then I moved to Montreal. And I spent like 7 years there.
Wow. So I was born in Montreal, and I actually grew up in Dollard. I don't know what part of Montreal you were.
Born?
Yeah. Does that
change? No way.
Does that change everything?
No, I'm shocked. Oh my God. Wait, that's crazy. I feel I spent like all my formative years in Montreal. So yeah, I was born in Connecticut. And I got Canadian citizenship through my mother.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I've lost pretty much all my French Canadian. Like, they would laugh at me at this point going back because, I've been in the States pretty much my entire adult life. So we left Canada when I was like 8. So that's why I've got no accent. Every now and then I notice my sentences go up at the end of it.
Oh, yeah, the upward inflection. Yep, I do that too.
Do you know where the bathroom is? I love the French-Canadian accent. But anyways, I'm glad we cleared that all up. We can finally move forward. I can't wait to chat all about your smash, I'm Only Here for the Beat, and find out how it was born. But before that, since this is your first time on America's Dance 30, let's get to know Madeline a little better with Finky's Firsts.
Fabulous. I'm ready.
So I love finding out the origin story of artists. Now, when you were growing up in Connecticut or even in Montreal, was being a singer the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up, or was there something else?
When I was really young, I wanted to be a drama teacher and a science teacher. and then that morphed into wanting to become an actress in musical theater because I grew up doing theatrical things. I grew up doing musicals, plays. And then I changed my mind. I'd always been like in band and marching band, choir, but then that morphed into me wanting to become a singer. But honestly, up until a few years ago, I was very much invested in the acting world. So I gave up acting temporarily, and I do acting on my own terms, but I gave up the auditioning grind. But now I am 100% in to music.
So teacher is completely gone at this point.
It is completely gone.
So I wanted to be a lawyer when I was growing up because I loved arguing, but then I saw like what you have to do to be a lawyer, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's hella studying.
Yeah, forget that. Now, do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I remember, okay, so the first documentation of a song that I ever wrote, I'm sure there was before then, but the first song I ever remember that I have documentation of that I wrote was a song, and I actually have a screenshot of it on my Instagram. And I talk about how much I hate school. I must have been like I must have been like 9, 10 years old. I should read you the lyrics. It's so funny.
That's amazing that you still have it from 9 or 10.
I found it. I was going through my old notebooks, cleaning out my old room that I grew up in, and I found it and I took a picture of it and I thought it was so funny. It was like, I hate school. Then I wake up and it's science class. It's the same over and over again. Then it's lunch. Lunch is the best time. Lunch rules. Oh no, then it's chemistry again and then physics.
Now, I am not a singer or songwriter, but none of that sounded like it rhymed to me.
And then no, and there's a part of the lyrics where I write historical music comes on.
You're giving directing notes to yourself.
That's the act coming in.
I love it. You know what's so crazy about you finding it again is I remember when I was going through a lot of my stuff from my mom's house, I found a tape of mine, oh my God, a cassette, where I had recorded myself singing to a song because back in the day, the vinyl used to have the lyrics on the back of it. And so I found this tape of me, I had to have been like 8 years old, just singing to this song. And it legit made me cry hearing it because it was so innocent. I'm like, where is that punk now?
He died.
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Elden may have died.
Well, we were going to talk about your book a little later on, but since you bring that up, you've got your book,
Okay.
Death by Madelline. Now, if you knew that today was your last day, what is the first thing you would do?
Oof, that is such a good question. Oh, I would just want to see all the family in my life that's important to me and eat some great food.
Not rob a bank or anything?
Part of me is like, I want to have some grand goodbye. Oh, maybe like do a big performance with everyone. I don't even know if everyone would freaking show up. Like at that point, it's so hard to get everyone coordinated. But I swear to God, I'm torn between continuing my life as if it was just another day or creating some big grand, maybe a big grand party or something with all the people that I love, all my friends, family, have a bunch of drinks and food. I think that sounds right. And then I perform for them maybe.
Yeah, I feel like since it's 24 hours, you can kind of do both. Like I would probably start by spending a lot of time with my fur child, Tucker, and then get into the grandiose, like celebration and robbing a bank and skydiving and, you know, all that kind of stuff because you know it's your last day. So why not?
I guess so. See, I don't necessarily, that's so funny. I don't necessarily feel like I would do anything criminal, but.
What does that say about me? I just love how the first time we're meeting and you already know my morals are absolute crap. But we can look past that. Now, back to your music. You've got, you know, indie songs, R&B style type songs, of course, your dance music. But what was the first dance song that made you fall in love with EDM?
Ooh, can I say the first dance album?
Sure.
The Cross by Justice.
Oh, wow. DANCE is so good off of that.
Oh my God, yeah. And there's a song that I'm obsessed with off of it called, it's like kind of a B-side track on it. It's called The Party with Uffie. And I saw Uffie in LA. She's such an icon. And she gives this like super blasé vocal fry performance over the dance track that just keeps building and building. It's so cool. But Justice honestly has the perfect amount of funkiness, lots of different eclectic influences, different sounds within the album. It's so cool. It's a great album. And like that really inspired me.
Now, as we mentioned, you grew up in Montreal or you spent some time in Montreal. What was the first thing that you did when you got to Canada?
Ooh, The first thing that I did in Montreal, I got a job at a call center actually because I didn't speak a lick of French.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I was calling people about their credit card processing systems. I was cold calling businesses. I would just sit in front of this this computer and with my headset on, and everyone was in their little cubicle, and it would auto dial all the numbers. And like as soon as someone didn't pick up, it would just dial another one. So it's like we had no choice but to keep calling and calling and calling. And yeah, and I had to pitch changing people's credit card processing systems. And sometimes people would do the wildest things when they didn't want to talk to me. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, no," and then hang up.
Wow. Jeez, that's aggressive.
Oh yeah, people when they think it's like a telemarketer, they will do anything. They will unleash their anger from the last 10 years on you.
Now, you said you didn't speak French, and in Montreal, working, you had to be bilingual. So how did you deal with that?
Ooh, I had a few moments where I embarrassed the shit out of myself. I just threw myself into it. Like first I started working at this restaurant, and I would go up to tables and they would ask me for things in French. And this was like casual service, like people would order at the counter, but I would sometimes deliver things. And they would ask for certain things and I wouldn't know. And I would just kind of guess. Sometimes I would just put something to, I would use like deductive reasoning. And sometimes I was completely wrong. But honestly, one thing I learned is that a tactic that I used a lot, if I didn't understand what people were saying, I would just like smile and laugh and walk away.
Why wouldn't you just learn qu'est-ce que c'est?
Because then they answer and I don't know what they say.
Oh, very
either.
true. Very true.
But honestly, no, so I threw myself into it and I just started to study like all the French that I would need. And I got better and better. I worked like multiple waitressing jobs in Montreal while I was doing my music. And eventually I was working fully in French. And of course I would have little mistakes here and there. And my French accent is not perfect at all. But I really enjoyed that. It was very scary too, to throw myself into a new language. And it was so vulnerable too, to just talk to different people. And especially as a server, because everyone wants good service and all that. And I really did have to finesse my way into that.
I bet. And French is such a hard language. I mean, it's an absolutely gorgeous language, and I miss it because obviously growing up in Montreal, I was fluent in it. And man, do I miss it. It's such a beautiful language.
And it's definitely challenging too to learn because I grew up learning Spanish and the ends of the words in French are often not pronounced. So it's like if you have an S, it's silent.
Finally, in Finky's verse, in honor of your smash, I'm only here for the beat, with the lyrics, feeling weightless, faceless, right now when I close my eyes. I want you to do me a favor and close your eyes and tell me the first thing you see.
Blackness.
I probably should have knew not to ask that question. Let's talk about this smash. How was this song born?
So I have a songwriting collaborator and we write so well together. His name's Jeff. And we came up with this idea, or I think Jeff kind of had the idea, I'm only here for the vibe. And then we kind of massaged it together and I was like, oh, I really like I'm only here for the beat. And we were working with this other writer we also really love named Benjamin Roosting. So yeah, the song was born through the three of us brainstorming and coming up with ideas. And we actually wrote it over Zoom I wrote it over Zoom on my iPhone with them while I was in LA. And Jeff was actually in LA too, but Benjamin lives in Sweden. So I often do most of my sessions online.
And how long ago did you guys work on it?
That one I released shortly after we finished writing it. It was in like March.
Something I love to find out about songs, and I don't know if you were in the entire process, but I love finding out how many versions there are from when you start working on it, all the tweaking that goes on to when you finally put it out. Do you know what the final V was of it?
Oh, I'm a total control freak about the production. Because production inspires me so much. But Usually for my songs, there are many versions, I will say. But for this particular song, there were two different bass sounds. Jeff and I were kind of going back and forth, debating over which one was the best. And I actually just dropped the other bass version of the one that I was going to drop. It's called I'm Only Here for the Beat Evil version. And I really like that one. I think it just sounds more evil and it's cool. But
and I probably shouldn't tell you that I was happy that you went with the first bass line.
Oh wait, that's so funny! Really? Oh my god! Because totally. Have you heard the full mix of the evil version? Because that one kind of it reminds me of like a Berlin dance song. It's really cool. But I'd say maybe I had around like 3 or 4 versions of Here for the Beat. There was like the first demo. Then there was another one I made with Gusten Dahlquist. He produced a secondary version of it, and then we went back and forth, and then I added some production on my own, and then we just added those parts in, and then I finished it with Jeff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the TikTok that you posted where you played both bass lines, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad she went with the first one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
What is next for Madelline?
I'm going on tour with this huge artist. It's going to be my first ever tour. So that's what's next for me in February and March. I'm so excited. And the person I'm going on tour with is an absolute legend and so inspiring to me. And I actually wrote it down on a piece of paper a year ago, the person I wanted to go on tour with.
You manifested this tour coming up?
It's kind of crazy. I mean, like I took appropriate steps towards it, but I got super specific about it in writing it down, and the exact person.
That is amazing. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your book. Congratulations on I'm Only Here for the Beat. Madelline, it is so awesome finally meeting you. Thank you so much for your time with us on America's Dance 30.
Thank you. Oh, wait, one thing I forgot to add. Okay, the other thing is the tour situation. Then the other thing is that I'm dropping another version of my song Dopamine with this huge Latin Grammy nominee, Bruises. And she's featuring on my track Dopamine. And then I'm dropping my other song, Make More Money, next month as well.
Man, you have got a lot coming up in 2024.
I like it that way.
Yeah, we all do. Thank you so much for your time with us on America's Dance 30.
I'm so excited that my song's playing on the radio for the first time. This is a first for me, so thank you so much for being a part of this and my journey, and I'm so grateful.